The human ship glided silently through the vast blackness of space. Stars stretched endlessly in every direction, like scattered diamonds on a dark cloth. Inside, Orin adjusted the controls of the small navigation console. He had always been fascinated by the machines and circuits humans created, but nothing in his life had prepared him for this moment. The ship's hull vibrated slightly as it approached a massive alien station orbiting a glowing blue planet. Orin's heart beat faster. He had been chosen to represent Earth in the Intergalactic Summit, a position that no ordinary human would ever have imagined. The summit had drawn leaders and representatives from dozens of alien civilizations, towering figures with shimmering scales, floating beings that emitted soft lights, and creatures that moved with fluid grace filled the massive chamber. The air was thick with a strange hum, the energy of countless minds gathered in one place. Humans were rare here, and most aliens regarded them with curiosity and sometimes disbelief. Orin, a young engineer barely out of his training, felt out of place among the grand and intimidating crowd. His hands itched to touch the machines and devices displayed around the hole. Some were tools, some were weapons, and some were objects so advanced that their purpose could only be guessed at. When the representatives had gathered, the council of the summit appeared. They floated above the central platform, a circle of beings with glowing eyes and majestic forms. Their voices, though strange in sound, carried power. Every word echoed through the chamber, and all who listened felt compelled to pay attention. The leader of the council, a tall figure covered in golden plates, spoke first. The message was clear. The Alliance, a coalition of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations, had agreed on a symbolic exchange. Every member world would offer a representative as a sign of commitment and respect. Orin's stomach tightened when he realized what this meant for him. When the council began naming the representatives, the human envoy's name was mentioned last. He was not expecting this. When the announcement reached him, the chamber went silent. He could see aliens shifting uneasily, their eyes flicking between him and the council. The leader's voice, translated through his suit's interpreter, sounded calm yet commanding. "We present to the Lumerian Empire a representative from Earth. His name is Orin." At that moment, the whole froze. From the far end, a massive figure appeared. Her presence alone seemed to bend the light around her. The alien queen Serelith floated down from above. Her scales shimmered with deep purples and blues, and her eyes glowed like twin stars. Every movement she made was fluid, yet powerful, commanding respect from all who dared look at her. She stopped in front of Orin and studied him carefully. Her eyes widened, and she whispered a single word. The interpreter translated it, though the whole had already fallen silent. "Impossible." Every being in the chamber turned to look at her. The word repeated in hushed voices. What did she mean? Orin could not understand why this simple word caused such tension. Was it praise or disbelief? Curiosity or fear? Serelith continued to stare at him, her gaze deep and unreadable. Orin felt as though she was looking inside him, seeing things that no one else could. The council murmured among themselves. Some seemed concerned, while others nodded, as if they understood the meaning of the Queen's words better than anyone else. Orin felt nervous. His training had prepared him for navigating ships and repairing machines, not standing silently as a queen judged him with only her eyes. The human envoy stepped forward and explained that Orin's selection was meant as a gesture of friendship and trust. Still, the queen's expression did not change. She continued to examine him with an intensity that made his knees feel weak. The chamber's air seemed to hum with energy. Some of the alien representatives leaned forward slightly, as if they were waiting for a reaction. Orin swallowed hard. He did not know if he was supposed to bow, speak, or even move. Then, unexpectedly, the queen's voice rang out. Though her tone was calm, it carried authority and weight. "Bring him to me." Orin froze. The words felt surreal. He was not only being offered to a queen, he was being commanded to approach her. His mind raced with questions. Why him? What did she see that others did not? And most importantly, what did the word impossible mean in this moment? The guards of the palace parted, creating a path toward Serelith. Orin stepped forward cautiously, trying to appear calm despite the strange trembling in his chest. Each step echoed in the grand chamber. When he finally reached her, he could see the detail of her form. Her scales reflected light in a way that made her seem both real and ethereal. Her eyes locked on him once again. This time, he felt a strange warmth, a subtle pull as though some unseen force connected them. Orin had never believed in destiny or legends, but in that moment, he could not shake the feeling that something extraordinary had begun. Serelith extended one of her long, graceful hands toward him. Orin hesitated, then placed his hand in hers. The touch was firm but not cold. A faint spark of energy ran through him, subtle yet undeniable. He stepped back slightly, unsure of what had just happened, and looked up at her. The Queen's expression softened slightly, as though she had expected this reaction. Then, without another word, she gestured to a private chamber in the palace ship. "Come with me," she said. Her voice was calm but commanded attention. "There is much you must learn, and your presence here is more important than you realize." Orin followed silently, every step feeling heavier and lighter at the same time. He did not know what awaited him, but he sensed that his life had changed forever. As the doors of the chamber closed behind him, he stole one last glance at the vast hall filled with alien representatives. Whispers continued to ripple through the crowd. The word impossible had been spoken, and everyone wondered what it meant. For Orin, however, there was no time to wonder. The future had begun, and he had no choice but to follow the alien queen into the unknown. The doors of the chamber slid shut behind Orin with a soft hum. The room was vast and filled with light that shimmered across the smooth walls. It smelled faintly of minerals and something sweet he could not name. The alien queen Serelith led him to the center where a glowing platform floated above the floor. She stopped and turned to face him. "You are far from home, human," she said, her voice steady and calm. "And yet, you are here for a reason that even the Council of Earth may not understand." Orin swallowed, trying to find words, but none came. He had expected formal greetings or questions about human customs. Instead, she spoke as if she already knew everything about him. Serelith studied him carefully, her glowing eyes scanning every movement. "Do you know why I said the word impossible?" she asked. Orin shook his head. "No, Your Majesty, I do not understand. I think there has been a mistake." The Queen's lips curved slightly, almost like a smile. "No mistake, human. What you carry inside you is very rare. Your species almost never holds it. I sensed it the moment I saw you." She gestured for him to step closer. Orin obeyed, curiosity mixing with nervousness. "This spark," she continued, "is not a weapon nor a machine. It is something far older, something powerful. Legends say that a being who carries this spark can influence events on a scale that many species cannot imagine." Orin's mind raced. He had read stories about legends in history books, but he had never imagined them to be true. And yet, here was a queen telling him he was part of one. Serelith floated closer, her gaze never leaving his. "It is not fate that brought you here, though some call it destiny. It is your courage, your curiosity, and the spark that you do not yet fully understand." Orin felt a shiver run down his spine. Courage and curiosity were things he had always believed in, but a spark he could not explain? That was something entirely new. He glanced around the chamber. Machines hummed softly, and panels displayed maps of galaxies far beyond human reach. The Queen gestured to one of the panels. Stars, planets, and fleets of ships moved in a delicate dance. "The galaxy is not as simple as Earth believes," she said. "Power flows through more than governments and armies. Energy moves between worlds, and some beings can sense it. You, human, can sense it too." Orin shook his head. "I don't understand. I am just an engineer. I fix machines. I cannot sense anything." Serelith's gaze softened. "That is why you are here. You do not yet see your true potential. I will help you learn." She paused, letting her words sink in. "But you must also understand the danger. Many will not trust you. The Council may question your presence. And some will fear what you can do before you even learn to control it." Orin's stomach tightened. "Danger? Why would anyone fear me?" "Because the spark you carry is rare, and rarity invites both curiosity and envy," Serelith explained. "I have seen species rise and fall because of one individual who appeared ordinary at first. You are that individual now." The Queen waved her hand, and a small sphere of light floated toward Orin. Inside, he could see faint patterns moving, almost like tiny constellations. "This is a training tool," she said. It will help you understand how to feel the energy around you. It will not hurt you, but it will challenge you. Orin reached out tentatively, and the sphere pulsed in response to his touch. A warm sensation spread through his hand, and then through his entire body. It was unlike anything he had ever felt. He could sense a rhythm, a movement, almost like the heartbeat of the universe itself. His eyes widened as he realized the spark was reacting to him. Seralith watched quietly. Good. You feel it. That is the first step. You must learn to control it, or it will control you. She gestured toward a large window overlooking the galaxy. Out there, danger grows. The Veilka faction stays in the outer systems. They are ambitious and ruthless. And now, because of you, the balance of power may shift. Orin felt a chill run through him. He had always imagined danger as something distant, perhaps in a story or a history lesson. But now it felt real and close. He looked at the Queen. Why me? Why not one of your own people? Seralitha's gaze softened again, and for a moment she seemed almost human. Because none of my people have the spark. And even if they did, they lack the courage and adaptability that you possess. Humans are fragile in body, but their spirit is unmatched. That is why you are here. Orin struggled to believe it. Fragile? Perhaps. But unmatched in spirit? That was a heavy weight to carry. He felt suddenly small, yet something deep inside him stirred. He realized that the Queen saw more in him than he saw in himself. A soft chime echoed through the chamber. Seralith turned to a panel, her hands moving with precise gestures. Lysira will assist you, she said. A young Numerian appeared, her skin shimmering faintly and her eyes bright with intelligence. She knows the theory and history. She will guide you in understanding the spark and its potential. Lysira bowed. It is an honor, human. I hope we can learn together. Orin nodded, unsure what to say, but grateful for the presence of someone friendly. Seralith stepped back, her eyes thoughtful. Rest for now. You will need your strength. Tomorrow, training begins. Remember, human, the spark inside you is rare, but it is not the spark alone that matters. It is how you use it. As Orin prepared to leave the chamber, he felt a mixture of fear and excitement. He had been taken from Earth, placed among alien beings, and chosen for a power he did not yet understand. Yet the Queen's words echoed in his mind. Courage and curiosity, matched with a spark, could change everything. He paused for a moment and looked back at Seralith. She was studying a holographic map of the galaxy, her eyes sharp and focused. He could feel her confidence and her concern at the same time. For the first time, Orin realized that the Queen's reaction of impossible was not disbelief, but recognition. Recognition that something extraordinary had arrived from Earth, something even she had never expected. As he left the chamber, the glow of the platform faded behind him. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, and Orin felt the weight of what was to come. He was no longer just an engineer from Earth. He was a spark that could shape the fate of an empire, guided by the Queen who had seen him as impossible, yet chosen him nonetheless. The training, the danger, and the unknown future awaited him. Orin did not know if he was ready, but he knew one thing. He would face it. Full courage, curiosity, and a spark that even the galaxy could not ignore would guide him forward. The next morning, Orin awoke in a room that floated above the Lumerian palace ship. The walls shimmered with soft blue light, and the air carried a faint hum, as if the ship itself were alive. Outside, stars streaked past as the ship moved silently through the galaxy. Orin felt a strange mix of awe and anxiety. Today, his training would begin. He did not know what to expect, only that the Queen's word from yesterday weighed heavily in his mind. The spark inside him was real, and it was time to learn how to use it. Lysira, the young Numerian scholar, appeared at the door. Her skin glowed faintly, and her eyes reflected the soft light of the chamber. "Good morning, Orin. Are you ready?" she asked. Her voice was calm and encouraging, and for the first time, Orin felt a small surge of confidence. "I think so," he said, though his hands trembled slightly. "I do not know how to do this. I do not even understand what the spark is." Lysira nodded. "Then we will start with sensing it. The spark reacts to energy in the world. At first, it will feel like a faint pull, a small vibration. You will need to focus and feel it grow. It will respond to your thoughts, your courage, and your attention. Orin took a deep breath and followed her to a circular platform in the center of the chamber. The floor was smooth and lighted from below, making it seem like he was standing on a sea of stars. Lysira raised her hands, and a sphere of light appeared between them. It glowed softly and pulsed gently. "This is your first exercise," Lysira said. "Do not be afraid. Place your hands near the sphere and focus. Imagine energy moving from you into it. Let the spark guide you." Orin hesitated. He was used to machines with clear rules, switches, and circuits. This was different. There were no instructions, no diagrams, only the spark inside him and the glowing sphere. He stepped forward, placed his hands near the light, and closed his eyes. At first, nothing happened. The sphere glowed the same as before. He frowned and tried again, concentrating harder. Slowly, he felt a warmth in his chest, a small vibration spreading through his arms and into his hands. The sphere shivered slightly, responding to the faint push of energy. Orin's eyes widened. He could feel it. He could feel the spark moving. "Good," Lysira said softly. "Now maintain it. Do not force it. Let it grow naturally." Orin focused again, breathing steadily. The warmth became stronger, and the sphere began to hover slightly higher. A small smile appeared on his face. He had done it. He had made the spark move. But the smile faded quickly when the sphere jolted violently, spinning and then dropping toward the floor. "Careful!" Lysira exclaimed, catching it before it crashed. The spark responds to your emotions. Fear, doubt, hesitation, all of these affect it. You must remain calm and confident. Orin nodded, swallowing hard. He tried again, focusing on the warmth, ignoring the fear of failure. Slowly, the sphere hovered steadily, pulsing gently as it controlled the flow of energy. Hours passed like this. Orin's body grew tired, but his mind sharpened. He felt a connection forming, a bond between himself and the spark he had never understood. After the session, he sat on the edge of the platform, sweat on his brow. "I did not know this power could exist," he said quietly. "It feels alive, like it is part of me, but also separate." Lysira smiled. "Yes, that is the spark. It is not just energy. It is part of who you are, and it responds to your courage. Humans are fragile in body, but your spirit is strong. That is why it responds to you." Orin leaned back, looking at the stars outside the chamber. He remembered the Queen's words. Humans are fragile, yet their spirit is unmatched. He felt proud, but also uncertain. What would this spark mean for him, and what dangers might it bring? Later in the day, the Queen herself arrived to observe. Serelith floated into the chamber, her presence commanding attention even among the hum of the ship. She watched Orin quietly, her eyes narrowing slightly as he guided the sphere. "You have done well," she said after a moment. "But this is only the beginning. The spark is strong in you, but strength without control is dangerous. Many have failed because they sought power without understanding it. You must learn discipline, focus, and patience." Orin nodded. "I will try, Your Majesty. I want to learn." The Queen's gaze softened, and for the first time, Orin saw something almost like warmth in her eyes. "Good. You will not be alone. Lysira and I will guide you. But there will be challenges that even we cannot predict. You must trust yourself as much as you trust the spark." Over the next few days, Orin's training grew more difficult. Lysira introduced new exercises that required precision and focus. He learned to sense objects around him without touching them, to feel the energy in the air, and even to manipulate small lights with just his thoughts. Each success brought joy, but each failure reminded him of how far he still had to go. One afternoon, while practicing in the gravity-controlled chamber, Orin noticed that the spark reacted differently when the Queen was nearby. He had felt it before, but now it pulsed more strongly, almost as if it recognized a presence. He glanced at Serelith, who watched silently from the platform above. Her eyes met his, and for a moment he felt a connection that went beyond words. It was strange and powerful, and it made him feel both nervous and confident at the same time. "You notice it, do you?" the Queen asked softly, descending to the chamber floor. "The spark is not just energy. It responds to trust, courage, and connection. When you feel its strongest, it is often when your spirit aligns with another. Orin nodded slowly. He did not fully understand, but he could feel it. The spark was more than a tool. It was part of him, part of something larger, something that could shape events beyond his imagination. As the sun set outside the palace ship, casting a soft golden glow across the chamber, Orin realized that he had changed. He was no longer just a human from Earth. He was a being with potential, recognized by a queen who had once called him impossible. The spark inside him had grown, but more importantly, his courage and determination had grown as well. For the first time, he felt ready to face whatever challenges awaited, confident that with guidance, practice, and belief in himself, he could master the power within and rise to meet the unknown future. The calm of the palace ship was broken one morning by an urgent message. Alarms hummed softly, and holographic displays lit up the command chamber. The Lumerian Empire's borders were under threat. The Veilka, a rival faction known for their cunning and ambition, had mobilized fleets toward the outer systems. Their goal was clear: challenge the Queen's authority and seize control of Lumerian space. Queen Serilith stood at the center of the command platform, her glowing eyes scanning the maps and readings. Her expression was calm, but Orin could sense the tension beneath it. The hum of the ship seemed to grow louder, echoing the sense of urgency. "They move faster than expected," she said softly, almost to herself. "The outer patrols report enemy activity in 3 systems at once." Orin felt a chill in his chest. He had trained to sense a spark, to control the energy that flowed through him, but he had never faced a real threat. Until now, danger had been lessons in exercises. Now, it was fleets of ships, weapons, and strategy. He looked at Lysira, who was already analyzing the readings with calm efficiency. "They are strong, human," she said. "Their numbers are greater than any patrol we can send quickly. The Council will demand a response, and the outcome may decide the Empire's future." Orin swallowed. "What can I do? I'm not a soldier. I've only trained with the spark in the chamber." Serilith's gaze met his. "You have learned more than you realize. The spark is not just for practice. It is a part of you, and it can influence events in ways others cannot. But you must remain focused. Fear will weaken it. Hesitation will reduce its effect. Do you understand?" Orin nodded slowly. The weight of responsibility pressed on him, but a spark of determination lit within. "I will do what I can, Your Majesty." The Queen gestured to the holographic map. Red icons blinked on the display, representing the Veilka fleets. Lines showed their projected paths toward the capital systems. "Our outer patrols must delay them, but it will not be enough. If they reach the capital, the throne and the council may be in danger. We must prepare for direct confrontation." Orin studied the map, feeling the energy of the spark pulse more strongly in his chest. It was almost as if it knew the danger and responded. He reached out tentatively, closing his eyes and focusing. The spark hummed, warm and steady. It guided his thoughts toward the enemy fleets, and he felt a small shift, subtle but noticeable. The sphere of influence he had practiced with during training seemed to extend outward, reaching beyond the chamber and into the ship's sensors. Serilith noticed the change immediately. "You feel it," she said, her voice calm but filled with quiet awe. "The spark senses more than the eye can see. It can perceive threats, patterns, and movements. You may be able to aid in strategy beyond the Council's calculations." Orin's heart raced. "I can try, but I do not know how much it will help." "Trust yourself," the Queen said. "You have done more than most in less time. That is the gift of the human spirit." The council gathered shortly after, convening in the central hall of the palace ship. High-ranking Lumerian nobles and generals hovered in a circle, their expressions serious. Whispers ran through the chamber as Orin entered. Many of the council members had not yet accepted him. Some still questioned why a human, someone so physically fragile, stood alongside their queen in times of crisis. The lead general, a towering Lumerian with silver scales and sharp eyes, spoke first. "Your Majesty, we must return the human to Earth. His presence is a risk. The Veilka fleets will not respect him. We need experienced commanders, not an outsider." Serilith's eyes narrowed slightly, and a hush fell over the chamber. "The human is not a risk," she said firmly. He carries a spark that can influence outcomes beyond what you can predict. He will aid us in understanding the movements of the enemy and may tip the balance in our favor." A murmur of disbelief spread through the council. Orin felt the weight of their scrutiny, but held his ground. He felt the spark responding, steady and calm. It reminded him of his training, of the hours he had spent learning control, and of the Queen's words about courage and spirit. Lysira moved closer, whispering to him, "Focus on the spark, Orin. Let it guide your perception. The council may doubt you, but the spark will show its truth." Taking a deep breath, Orin closed his eyes and reached out with the spark. He felt the energy of the ship around him, the patterns of enemy fleets moving through space, and even subtle current of energy that indicated the intentions of the Veilka commanders. His hands hovered over the holographic map, and he pointed toward a cluster of red icons. "The fleet moving near the southern system is dividing," he said, opening his eyes. "They are likely trying to bypass patrols. If we can predict their path, we can place our defenses to delay them and protect the capital." The council members leaned closer, scrutinizing his calculations. To their surprise, the predictions matched the census readings exactly. Even the lead general's eyes widened slightly. Seralitha's lips curved into a small, approving smile. "Prepare the defensive positions as he suggests," the Queen commanded. "We will not wait for the enemy to reach us. We will control the pace of the battle." Orin felt a surge of relief and pride. The spark had guided him, and the Queen had trusted him. He realized that courage and focus were as important as power. Even though the Council still doubted him, he had proven that humans could make a difference in the galaxy. As the Council disposed to implement the defensive strategy, Seralith floated beside Orin. "You did well," she said quietly, "but this is only the beginning. The Veilka will test our patience and our defenses. You must be ready for what comes next. Your spark may be the key to saving the Empire." Orin nodded, feeling both the weight of responsibility and a newfound determination. He had trained for months, but now the spark was no longer just a tool. It was a part of him, and it was time to see what it could do in the real world. Outside the palace ship, the stars stretched endlessly. Orin could feel the energy of the galaxy moving around him. The Veilka fleets were coming, and the Empire depended on courage, strategy, and the spark within a human no one had expected to make a difference. For the first time, Orin understood that being offered to the Queen was not a mistake. It was a choice that could change the fate of the Lemurian Empire, and perhaps even the galaxy itself. The command chamber of the palace ship was alive with quiet urgency. The defensive plans had been set in motion, but the Veilka fleets were approaching faster than expected. Holographic maps floated above the platform, showing movements of hundreds of ships. Orin stood beside Queen Seralith and Lysira, feeling both nervous and determined. He had trained hard, yet the reality of impending conflict was different. The spark inside him pulsed as if sensing the danger. "Are you ready, human?" Seralith asked, her calm voice carrying authority. She floated gracefully above the platform, her eyes glowing faintly in the soft light. Orin nodded, though he felt a knot of tension in his stomach. "I will do my best," he said. "I've trained, and I feel the spark. I just hope it is enough." Seralitha's lips curved slightly. "It is not only enough. It may be the key to our survival. But remember, the spark responds to courage, clarity, and trust. You must trust yourself and those who stand beside you." Orin glanced at the council, who hovered nearby. Many still doubted him, questioning whether a human could influence the course of a battle. He felt their eyes on him, some skeptical, some uncertain. He took a deep breath, feeling Lysira's hand briefly brush his shoulder in encouragement. That small gesture reminded him that he was not alone. He was part of a team, and the spark had grown stronger because of their guidance and support. The first wave of the Veilka approached the outer system. Sensors picked up their ships, sleek and dark, moving with precision. The Lemurian fleet responded immediately, activating shields and preparing weapons. Orin felt the spark stir, pulsing with energy, sensing the currents of movement around him. It was like the first time he had felt the sphere in the training chamber, but now it reached far beyond the palace ship, touching the movements of enemy vessels. Seralith gave the command to engage. The battle began with bright beams of energy streaking across space, illuminating the darkness. The Veilka ships advanced, attempting to break through the Lumerian defenses. Orin focused, reaching out with a spark. He felt the currents of energy around each vessel, the shifts in their trajectory, and the faint signals of their engines. Slowly, he guided the Lumerian fleet's movements, helping them anticipate the enemy. A large Veilka cruiser attempted to flank the Lumerian line. Orin sensed its path and directed the ships to counter it. The maneuver worked perfectly. The cruiser was forced back, unable to reach the capital system. Lysira's eyes shone with amazement as she watched him. "You are extraordinary, human," she whispered. "I never imagined the spark could be this strong so soon." Orin felt a surge of confidence. The spark responded to him, as if acknowledging his growing courage. He realized that the Queen's trust had given him strength. Without her guidance and belief, he might have faltered. Now, he understood the importance of trust, not only in the spark, but in himself and those who stood beside him. During the battle, the council began to observe him with a new perspective. The skepticism in their eyes was replaced with cautious respect. Orin's calculations and the spark's guidance allowed the Lumerian fleet to anticipate the enemy's moves, avoiding costly mistakes. Even the lead general, who had doubted him the most, nodded subtly in approval. Serylith remained by his side, watching quietly. Her expression was unreadable, yet there was a sense of satisfaction in her glowing eyes. She understood that the spark was more than energy. It was courage, intuition, and the human spirit itself. And Orin, with his determination and focus, had begun to master it. As the Veilka forces retreated after the first engagement, the palace ship's alarm signaled minor damage to the outer defense stations. Orin felt a pang of guilt, wondering if he could have done more. Serylith touched his arm lightly. "You have done more than anyone could have expected," she said. "The fleet survived, and the capital is safe. You guided them in ways that no machine or strategy could. Remember, human, the spark responds to heart as much as mind. Trust in both, and you will continue to succeed." Orin nodded, feeling a mixture of relief and determination. He realized that the Queen's belief in him was not only a gift but a responsibility. He had been offered to her not as a prize, but as a partner in safeguarding the Empire. That thought strengthened his resolve. In the quiet moments after the battle, Serylith led Orin and Lysira to a balcony overlooking the galaxy. The stars stretched endlessly, but the damage of the conflict was visible in distant flashes of light from the damaged Veilka ships. "You see what you have done?" Serylith asked. "The Empire may have doubted you, but your actions have earned respect and trust. That is more valuable than strength alone." Orin looked at her, feeling a new understanding. "I never imagined I could do this. I only wanted to help, to learn. I didn't know I could make a difference." The Queen's gaze softened. "It is not always about knowing what you can do. Sometimes it is about having the courage to try. You acted with heart and focus. That is why the spark responds to you. That is why you are here." Lysira smiled at him. "You are no longer just a student. You are part of the Empire now. The spark may guide you, but it is your spirit that makes it strong." Orin felt warmth spread through him. He realized that he had grown since arriving in the palace ship. He had faced training, uncertainty, and now real danger. He had learned to trust the spark, but also himself. The Queen's trust and the support of Lysira and others had allowed him to rise above doubt and fear. As the stars shifted outside, the palace ship continued its course through the galaxy. Orin felt the spark pulse steadily, a reminder of the bond that had formed between him, the Queen, and the Empire. He understood that the battles ahead would test his courage, his skill, and his trust in ways he had not yet imagined. But for the first time, he felt ready. The bond of trust between the human and the Queen had grown stronger. It was no longer a question of whether he belonged or if he was capable. Orin had proven that humans, with their courage and spirit, could stand alongside the most powerful beings in the galaxy. And with that bond, he would face the challenges ahead, knowing that the spark within him was part of something far greater than he had ever known. The galaxy outside the palace ship was alive with movement. The Veilka fleets had regrouped and were advancing toward the Lumerian capital with speed and precision. Red energy trails streaked across the darkness, marking the path of enemy ships. Inside the command chamber, Orin stood beside Queen Serylith and Lysira, watching the holographic map with a mixture of fear and determination. "They are larger in number than expected," said the lead general, his voice tense. If they reached the capital, the damage could be catastrophic. Saralitha's gaze was calm but sharp. Then we will not wait for them. We will control the battle. She turned to Orin. This is the moment you have trained for. The spark inside you can guide us, help us predict the enemy's movements, and protect the capital. Are you ready? Orin took a deep breath. The spark pulsed in his chest, steady and warm. He had trained for months, learned to sense energy flows, and trusted the bond that had grown between him, the Queen, and Lysera. I am ready, he said. The Lumerian fleet moved out of the capital's orbit to meet the enemy. Bright beams of energy lit the darkness, and the first volleys of attack began. Orin closed his eyes and reached out with the spark. He felt the currents of energy around the enemy ships, sensed the shifts in their engines, and even detected subtle changes in the alignment of their weapons. The spark seemed to extend beyond him, touching every vessel in the fleet. Focus, human, Saralith said softly. Let the spark guide you. Trust it and trust yourself. Orin nodded. He took a deep breath and let the spark flow through him. Slowly, he guided the fleet's movements, nudging ships to adjust positions, anticipating attacks before they happened. The Veilka was skilled, but they had not expected a human to influence the battle with such precision. A massive Veilka cruiser appeared, larger and more heavily armed than any other. Its weapons glowed with energy that could pierce even the strongest shields. The general shouted orders, but the ship's trajectory was too fast for conventional defenses. Orin felt the spark react strongly. It pulsed urgently in his chest, almost as if warning him of the danger. Your Majesty, the cruiser is too powerful for standard defense, the general said. We cannot stop it with our current positions. Saralith looked at Orin. Then it is up to you. Use the spark. Guide the energy. Protect the capital. Orin's heart raced. He had never used the spark in a battle of this scale. The responsibility was immense. He closed his eyes, feeling the warmth in his chest, and focused on the energy of the cruiser. Slowly, he extended the spark outward, reaching the flow of energy surrounding the enemy vessel. The warmth spread through his body. His hands tingled, and a faint glow surrounded him. The cruiser fired its massive cannon. A bright beam of energy streaked toward the capital, threatening to destroy the defenses. Orin felt the spark pulse in response. He directed it toward the beam, channeling the energy through his body and extending it outward. The beam bent slightly, deflected by the spark's influence. Gasps echoed through the command chamber as a beam struck a nearby asteroid, harmlessly dissipating. You did it, Lysera whispered, eyes wide with amazement. Orin opened his eyes, seeing the cruiser hesitate. The spark had disrupted its attack, slowing its advance. Using the energy flow, he nudged the cruiser's trajectory slightly, guiding it away from the fleet and toward an open area where the Lumerians could attack safely. The Veilka flagship wavered, unprepared for this new form of defense. The Lumerian fleet seized the opportunity. Coordinated attacks, guided by Orin's spark, struck the cruiser with precision. The enemy's shields faltered, and beams of energy lit the darkness as it was forced to retreat. Orin felt a surge of pride and relief. The spark had responded to his courage, his focus, and his trust in the Queen and fleet. Saralith moved beside him, her expression a mixture of approval and quiet awe. You have done more than anyone could have imagined, she said. The spark is strong, but it is your courage and determination that made this possible. The battle continued for hours. Orin guided the fleet, predicting enemy movements and helping to protect weaker ships. The Veilka attacked fiercely, but each move was anticipated by the spark's influence. The Lumerian fleet began to gain the upper hand. Even the skeptical council members watched in astonishment as a human guided the battle to success. By the time the last Veilka ship retreated, the Lumerian capital was safe. Energy beams streaked across space, illuminating the damaged enemy vessels as they fled. The fleet returned to orbit around the capital, and the command chamber fell silent except for the soft hum of the ship. Orin sank onto a platform, exhausted but exhilarated. He could feel the spark calming, settling back into his chest. The weight of the battle was heavy, but he knew he had done what was needed. He had faced danger, guided the fleet, and protected the Empire. Saralith approached, her eyes glowing with quiet pride. You have proven that humans are more than their physical limitations. You have courage, intuition, and spirit. That is why you were offered to me, and why you have risen to this challenge." Orin looked at her, feeling a mixture of humility and pride. "I could not have done it without your guidance, your majesty. I only followed the spark." The queen's lips curved slightly. "The spark is a part of you, but it responds to your choices, your courage, and your trust. You are the one who acted. You are the one who saved the Empire today." Lysira joined them, her eyes bright with admiration. "You have grown beyond training. You have shown that humans, with their spirit and determination, can stand alongside the greatest beings in the galaxy. I am proud to fight beside you." Orin felt warmth spread through him. He realized that the Queen's trust, Lysira's guidance, and his own determination had formed a bond stronger than any machine or weapon. The spark had responded, yes, but it was a human heart behind it that had truly made a difference. As the palace ship moved into orbit above the capital, Orin looked out at the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly, full of challenges and mysteries, but he felt ready. He had faced the impossible, guided the spark, and stood beside the Queen to protect the Empire. The path ahead would not be easy, but he knew that courage, trust, and determination would carry him forward. The bond between human and Queen had grown stronger, and with it, the hope of the Lumerian Empire. Orin understood that the spark was not just a gift, but a responsibility. He was no longer just an engineer from Earth. He was a guardian, a protector, and a force that could shape the fate of the galaxy. And as the stars shimmered outside the palace ship, Orin felt ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The aftermath of the battle left the Lumerian Empire's capital shining with quiet strength. The Veilka fleets had retreated beyond the outer systems, their ambitions temporarily halted. The palace ship hovered in orbit, and the city below gleamed under protective energy shields, a symbol of the Empire's resilience. Orin stood beside Queen Seralith on a balcony overlooking the capital. The air was calm, but the tension of the past days lingered. "You have done more than any of my council expected, human," Seralith said, her eyes reflecting the glow of the city below. "You have guided fleets, protected lives, and proven that courage and spirit matter as much as strength and strategy." Orin shook his head, feeling both pride and humility. "I only followed the spark, your majesty. It showed me what to do, and the fleet listened. I could not have done it alone." The Queen's gaze softened. "No one achieves greatness alone. You had guidance, support, and the spark, but most importantly, you had courage. That is what sets humans apart. Their spirit is unmatched in the galaxy. That is why I called your arrival impossible." Orin frowned slightly, remembering her first reaction when he had been offered to her. At the time, he had not understood it, but now he felt the weight of her words. She had seen potential that no one else had, and she had trusted him with a responsibility far greater than he had imagined. Lysira joined them, her eyes shining with admiration. "You have proven that humans are more than what appearances suggest. They may seem fragile, but their courage can change the course of events. You have shown that today." Orin felt warmth spread through him. He realized that the spark had not only guided the battle, but it had also connected him to the Queen, Lysira, and the Empire itself. He had been offered to the Queen not as a prize, but as a partner in shaping the future. The council gathered later that day in the grand hall of the palace. The Lumerian nobles, generals, and scholars hovered silently as Seralith prepared to speak. The chamber was filled with energy, the kind that comes from respect, hope, and the acknowledgement of great deeds. "My council, citizens, and defenders of the Lumerian Empire," the Queen began, her voice calm but commanding. "Today we face a threat that tested our strength, our strategy, and our unity. The Veilka sought to challenge us, to seize our systems, and to disrupt the peace we have built. Yet we have prevailed." She paused, and her glowing eyes shifted toward Orin. "Among us stood a human, a being from Earth, a species rarely seen in our halls, yet one whose courage, spirit, and unique spark have guided us to victory. He acted with focus, with heart, and with determination that exceeded all expectations. It is through his actions that our fleet survived and the capital was protected." A murmur ran through the chamber. Many of the council members, who had doubted him before, now hovered with respect. Some even bowed slightly in acknowledgement. Orin felt a mixture of pride and humility as all eyes turned toward him. Seralith continued, I recognize the courage of this human. He has proven that one being, guided by spirit, determination, and trust, can influence the course of an empire. I declare that from this day forward, Orin is not merely a guest or a representative of Earth. He is an honored protector of the Lemurian Empire, a trusted partner of the Crown, and a symbol of hope for all who serve justice and courage across the galaxy. The chamber erupted in respectful acknowledgement. Orin's heart raced, but he remained composed. He realized that this recognition was not about status or power, but about trust, responsibility, and the bond he had formed with the Queen and the Empire. Seralitha's eyes softened as she addressed him directly. Orin, you were offered to me, and in that moment, I saw the impossible. I saw a human whose spirit could rise above doubt, fear, and limitation. Today, you have proven that the impossible is nothing when courage and determination lead the way. You are a part of this empire, and your presence will inspire generations to come. Orin bowed slightly, feeling the weight and honor of her words. Your Majesty, I am humbled. I only wish to serve and to protect the empire, its people, and all who rely on us. I will do my best in all that is required of me. Lysira stepped closer, her eyes bright. We are proud to fight beside you, Orin. Your actions today will be remembered, and your courage will inspire all of us. The spark within you is more than power. It is a spirit of humanity itself. For the first time, Orin felt the full meaning of his journey. From an ordinary engineer on Earth to a human offered to an alien queen, to the guiding force in a battle that protected an entire empire, he had grown in courage, skill, and understanding. The spark was no longer something mysterious. It was a part of him, shaped by his choices, his spirit, and the bonds he had forged. Seralith floated closer, placing her hand lightly on his shoulder. The galaxy will continue to challenge us, Orin. Threats will arise, allies will falter, and the path ahead will demand strength, wisdom, and courage. But you have proven that humans, though fragile in body, possess a spirit that can guide us through any darkness. You are a symbol of hope, and you will stand as a guardian of this empire for all to see. Orin nodded, feeling a sense of calm determination. The battles ahead would be difficult, but he knew he was not alone. He had the Queen's trust, Lysira's guidance, and the spark within him that connected him to the universe in ways he had never imagined. As the stars outside the palace ship shimmered, Orin looked toward the horizon, feeling the weight and the honor of his new role. He was no longer just a human from Earth. He was a protector, a guide, and a symbol of courage for the Lemurian Empire. The impossible had been realized, and the galaxy would never forget the human who had risen to meet it. Orin felt the spark pulse within him, steady, warm, and alive. It reminded him that courage, determination, and trust could shape destiny, and that even a single human could make a difference across the stars. With the Queen's declaration, the Council's respect, and the Empire's safety secured, Orin finally allowed himself a quiet moment of pride. He had faced the unknown, embraced the impossible, and emerged as a force that could inspire a galaxy. The future stretched endlessly before him, full of stars, challenges, and wonders. And for the first time, Orin felt certain of one thing. He belonged here, among the stars, alongside the Queen, and as a human who had proven that the impossible could indeed become reality. The spark inside him glowed brighter than ever, a light of courage, hope, and determination that would guide him and the Lemurian Empire through every challenge to come.